Hello, my dear youngsters. How are you all doing? How's the weather in your part of the country? The place where I stay, it's raining heavily since morning. That's why I'm carrying this umbrella. Let me just put this aside. Here you go. So let me introduce myself. I'm Neha Gupta and I'm back with a new and exciting story for you. I'm your storyteller, and apart from that, I'm also a curriculum designer, an educator, a language expert. I've also been into theater. Which means I sometimes used to wear funny costumes and play funny characters. And today I'm going to bring all that drama to you in the form of a story that I'm going to tell you. But, before I begin, let me introduce you to Eupheus Learning, the wonderful organization that brings us together. Eupheus Learning is India's largest school-focused platform, and we reach out to more than 10,000 schools and 26 lakh learners, young kids like you. That's a huge number, right? Everyone happily uses our solutions, parents, teachers, and also young learners like you. If you want to know more about Eupheus Learning, please log on to www.eupheus.in. I'll now start with my story. The name of the story is The Day the Crayons Quit. And the story is written by Drew Daywalt. This story is about a very young boy. His name is Duncan and he's very fond of drawing. But what happens when suddenly one day all his crayons go on a strike? They just refuse to draw. Let's see what happens. So one day what happens? Duncan goes to the class and he wants to make a drawing, and for that he reaches out for his bag. So this is Duncan's bag. Oh look, it has Peppa Pig on it. So this is Duncan's bag. Duncan opens the bag to take out his crayon box. But oh, what is this? Oh, it's a bunch of letters. And this bunch of letters is addressed to Duncan. Who has written these letters? Duncan is very confused. He starts reading the letters one by one. So many letters are there. So here is the first letter. See, on this letter, to Duncan is written with a red crayon. Duncan starts reading the letter. The letter says, "Hey Duncan, it's me, Red Crayon." Red Crayon? The red crayon has written this letter? Can crayons write? Okay, let's read what the red crayon has written. "It's me, Red Crayon. We need to talk." Oh, looks like the crayon is really angry with Duncan. Why is he angry? "You make me work harder than any of your other crayons. All year long, I wear myself out coloring fire engines, apples, strawberries, and everything else that is red. You make me work so hard." Oh, so that's the reason why the red crayon is so angry. He thinks that Duncan makes him work a lot. He makes him color all these big items, fire engines and strawberries, apples and everything that is red. "I even work on holidays. I have to color all the Santas on Christmas and all the hearts on Valentine's Day. I need a rest. your overworked friend, red crayon. So, can you see this letter that the red crayon has written for Duncan? And here, there's a picture of a fire engine, hearts. What else is there? There are apples, strawberries. So, the red crayon thinks he has to work a lot. He has to color a lot. And sometimes he also has to work on holidays. And that's why he decides to go on a strike. So that's about the red crayon. Now who has written this other letter? Oh, this letter is also addressed to Duncan. And to Duncan is written on this letter with a purple crayon. Has the purple crayon written this letter? Let's see. Oh yes, the purple crayon has written this letter. Now let's see what the purple crayon has written. He's written, Dear Duncan, alright, listen. I love that I'm your favorite crayon for grapes, dragons and wizards hats. But it makes me crazy that so much of my gorgeous color goes outside the lines. So purple crayon is angry because he thinks that whenever Duncan uses the purple crayon, he is not able to keep himself within the lines. He always goes outside the lines. And that is something that the purple crayon doesn't like. What else has he written? If you don't start coloring inside the lines soon, I am going to completely lose it. Your very neat friend, purple crayon. So the purple crayon identifies himself as a very neat person. And that's why he always wants Duncan to use him and color within the lines. And that's why he's very angry. So, red crayon and purple crayon. Both of them are very angry with Duncan. Now, who has written this third letter? This is a light brown color, right? Light brown color, yeah. I always call this color light brown. So, has the light brown color written this letter? Let's see. What does it say? Dear Duncan, I'm tired of being called light brown or dark tan. Oops, I was also calling this color light brown. But if we don't call this light brown, then what else do we call it? It is the light brown color. Okay, let's see what the light brown color has to say. Dear Duncan, I'm tired of being called light brown or dark tan because I'm neither. Okay, so we can't call this color light brown or dark tan. So what else do we call this color? I'm beige and I'm proud. Okay, so this color wants us to call it beige. I'm also tired of being second place to Mr. Brown Crayon. I'm also tired of being second place to Mr. Brown Crayon. It's not fair that Brown gets all the bears, ponies and puppies, while the only things I get are turkey dinners, if I'm lucky, and wheat. So this beige color thinks that it is only used when Duncan has to color wheat. But then what's the problem there? We can use this color to color wheat. What is the problem? Why is this color so angry? Let's read the letter. Okay, so he says, let's be honest. When was the last time you saw a kid excited about coloring wheat? So that is more or less true. I don't think any kid would be excited to color wheat. Will you be excited to color wheat? Maybe you will. if you will be, then please reach out to your color box, take out your beige crayon and let him know that I'm very fond of coloring wheat. So don't you ever think that no kid is excited to color wheat. Okay? Your beige friend, beige crayon. Okay. So that's the letter from the beige crayon. He's also very angry. Now let's look at the other letter. Oh, looks like this letter has come from the grey crayon. Now what problem does the grey crayon have? Let's read this letter. Oh, see, there's a beautiful picture of an elephant here. And is that a rhino? It looks like a rhino to me, or is it a whale? I am not able to figure out. But yes, this big animal is definitely an elephant. We see a trunk here. So let's read the letter that the grey crayon has written. Now, what problem does the grey crayon have? Duncan. Okay, his voice is so good. Grey crayon here. You are killing me. Okay, why? I know you love elephants and I know that elephants are grey. But that's a lot of space to color in all by myself. So just like the red crayon, even the grey crayon thinks he is overworked. And don't even get me started on your rhinos, hippos and jump-back whales. So maybe this creature which we are not able to figure out is probably a hippo or a rhino or probably a mix of both. Is it a jump-back whale? Doesn't look like, right? Okay, whatever. Let's see what the grey crayon has to say next. You know how tired I am after handling one of those things. Such big animals. Penguins are grey, you know. So are very tiny rocks, pebbles. How about one of those once in a while to give me a break? Your very tired friend, grey crayon. So grey crayon is not very happy because he gets very tired after coloring these big animals. So he is asking Duncan to give him smaller spaces to color, like tiny penguins or small rocks or pebbles or stones. He thinks that would give him a break. Looks like he's very tired. Oh, now who has written this letter? Nothing is written on it. Who has written this letter? Who has written this letter? Let's read. Dear Duncan, you color with me, but why? Which color is this? Most of the time, I am the same color as the page you are using me on. White. Oh, so this letter is from the white crayon. Maybe he's written his name here, but we are not able to understand since our paper is also white. And that's what he's angry about. That what is the point of using him when mostly the paper on which Duncan uses him is also the same color, which is white. If I didn't have a black outline, you wouldn't even know I was there. That's quite true. Just look at this drawing that the white crayon has made. So there's a picture of a snow cat, but since there's no black boundary, there's no black outlining, we can't even figure out whether it's a cat. Okay, since the outline is missing. So it doesn't matter if you use a white crayon on a white paper, right? Since you won't be able to see the color, and that is something that is making the white crayon very angry. I'm not even in the rainbow. Oh, that's very sad. But yes, what the white crayon is saying is true. We don't see white color in the rainbow. But do you know? All the colors combined together make white light. This is something that you will study in higher grades. That the white light is actually split into 7 colors of the rainbow. So all the colors, they together make the white light. Okay? So white color should actually be proud of himself. He's a baby, no? That's why he doesn't know about this process yet. He's a small baby like you children. But I'm sure he'll understand when he grows up. I'm not even in the rainbow. I'm only used to color snow or to fill in empty space between other things. And it leaves me feeling, well, empty. We need to talk. Your empty friend, white crayon. The white crayon is very sad. He thinks he is not used at all. And he's only used to color like some snow or just to fill in some space in between. So he thinks Duncan doesn't love him much. And that's why he's very sad. Now who has written this letter? Oh, I think this has come from the black crayon. Now what problem does the black crayon have? Now the white one was saying that he's only asked to fill in empty spaces. But black color is used a lot. In every drawing you see black color. Black color is used to draw the outline of the drawing. So now why is the black crayon angry? Let's see what the black crayon has to say. Hi Duncan, I hate being used to draw the outline of things. Oh, now that's why the black crayon is angry. He's only used to draw the outlines. I hate being used to draw the outline of things that are colored in by other colors, all of which think they are brighter than me. So that's why the black crayon is so angry. He thinks that he's only asked to make an outline of the drawing which has been filled by the other colors. And all the other colors think that they are brighter than him. And it makes him feel so small. It's not fair when you use me to draw a nice beach ball and then fill in the colors of the ball with all the other crayons. How about a black beach ball sometime? Is that too much to ask for? Your friend, black crayon. So the black crayon is questioning why the beach ball can't be black. It can be in any color. Why do the children always have to use other colors to fill colors in the drawing of a beach ball? They can also use black color. So black color is also very angry. Now this letter has come from the green crayon. Now what's the problem with the green crayon? Let's see. Oh, see, such beautiful picture of a dinosaur and his babies. There are 1, 2 baby dinosaurs. This looks like a frog to me. And what is this? This is some insect. I really like this dinosaur. Now let's see what the green crayon has to say. Dear Duncan, as green crayon, I am writing for 2 reasons. Okay, which 2 reasons? One is to say that I like my workloads of crocodiles, trees, dinosaurs and frogs. I have no problems and wish to congratulate you on a very successful coloring things green career so far. If the second reason I write for my friends yellow crayon and orange crayon who are no longer speaking to each other. So looks like green crayon is a happy color. Okay, so we have read so many letters so far, But so far only the green crayon is the color. So far only the green crayon has been the crayon who is happy. All other crayons, as we noticed, were very unhappy. They had some problem with Duncan. But green crayon says he likes his job. He likes to color dinosaurs, frogs, and all these big animals. But the second reason why he's written this letter to Duncan is because two of his friends, the yellow crayon and the orange crayon, are no longer talking to each other. Why are they not talking to each other? Both crayons feel they should be the color of the sun. Please settle this soon because they are driving the rest of us crazy. Your happy friend, green crayon. Okay, wonderful. The green crayon describes himself as the happy friend. Wonderful. But he's also mentioned a problem about the yellow crayon and the orange crayon. Both of them feel that they should be the color of the sun. What should be the color of the sun according to you? Yellow or orange? I think it should neither be orange nor yellow. I think it should be red. What do you say? Let's look at the other letters. Oh, this has come from the yellow crayon. I'm sure he'll be talking about the orange crayon, complaining about him. Dear Duncan, yellow crayon here, I need you to tell orange crayon that I am the color of the sun. I would tell him, but we are no longer speaking. And I can prove that the color of the sun is yellow. Last Tuesday, you used me to color in the sun in your Happy Farm coloring book, didn't you? You used me to color the sun, right? When you were making the Happy Farm scene. In case you have forgotten, it's on page 7. So the yellow crayon is asking Duncan to refer back to that page where he had colored the sun yellow. You can't miss me. I'm shining down brilliantly on a field of yellow corn. Your pal and the true color of the sun, yellow crayon. So angry this crayon is. Oh, and see, what a coincidence. The next letter has come from the orange crayon. I'm sure now orange crayon will be saying that I am the true color of the sun. Let's see what the orange crayon has to say. It says, Dear Duncan, I see yellow crayon already talked to you, the big whiner. Anyway, could you please tell me, Dear Duncan, I see yellow crayon already talked to you, the big whiner. Can you please tell me that he's not the color of the sun? I would, but we are no longer talking to each other. We both know I am clearly the color of the sun because on Thursday you used me to color the sun on both the Monkey Island and the Meet the Zookeeper pages in your Day at the Zoo coloring book. Orange. You colored the sun orange in both the pages. Aren't you glad that I'm here? Your pal and the real color of the sun, orange crayon. So see, the orange crayon is also providing the proof. He is mentioning the two drawings which Duncan had made, and in those two drawings he had colored the sun orange, and now orange thinks that he is the right color of the sun. These two friends really always fighting with each other. Do you also fight with your friends? That's a bad thing to do. Anyway, let's look at the next letter. Okay, looks like this has been written by the blue crayon. Now, what problem does the blue crayon has? How many more letters do I have to read? So many of them. Oh, okay. So there are 12 crayons in a crayon box, right? All the colors, all the crayons have something to say. So there are 12 letters in total. So much to complain about, right? So now what's the problem with this blue crayon? Dear Duncan, it's been great being your favorite color this last year and the year before and the year before that. Okay, looks like Duncan really loves blue color and that's why he uses him very extensively. I have really enjoyed all those oceans, lakes, rivers, raindrops, rain clouds and clear skies. But the bad news is that I'm so short and stubby. I can't even see over the railing in the crayon box anymore. I need a break. Your very stubby friend, blue crayon. Okay, so the blue crayon is angry because he's been asked to color extensive and large oceans, clouds. What else has he mentioned? Raindrops, skies, rivers, lakes, and that's the reason why he's become so short and stubby. So this is something that he's not happy about. So this is the complaint that the blue crayon has. Now who's written this letter? Pink crayon. Pink is such a nice color, right? It's my favorite color. What will the pink color say? Duncan. Okay, listen here, kid. Kid? The pink color is calling Duncan a kid? What does he think of himself? An old uncle? Let's see what the pink color has to say. Duncan, okay, listen here, kid. You have not used me once in the past year. It's because you think I'm a girl's color, isn't it? That's very bad. You know, why do we associate certain colors with certain genders? We always say pink color is for girls and blue color is for boys. That's a very bad thing to say, right? I think anyone can like any color. Boys can like pink color. Girls can like blue color. What's the big deal? But yeah, I don't know why people say that pink is only for girls and blue is only for boys. We should say that, right? And I think that's the reason why the pink color is so angry with Duncan. He says that you don't use me enough because you're a boy and you think pink is the color of girls. What else does he have to say? Where was I? It's because you think I'm a girl's color, isn't it? Speaking of which, please tell your little sister I said thank you for using me to color her pretty princess dress in her coloring book. I think it was fabulous. Now back to you. Could you please use me sometime to color the occasional pink dinosaur or monster? It's nice to have monster or a dinosaur in a different color. Your unused friend, pink crayon. Now the pink crayon thinks that since Duncan is a boy, he doesn't use him enough and that's why he's very angry. Now the last letter. This looks like peach color to me. Peach color, right? Now what does peach color have to say? Hey Duncan, it's me, peach crayon. Why did you peel off my paper wrapping? There are lots of naughty children who peel off the wrapper of the crayons. Now I'm naked and too embarrassed to leave the crayon box. I don't even have any underwear. Oh, that's so embarrassing. How would you like to go to school naked? I need some clothes. Help, your naked friend, peach crayon. The peach crayon has also given his photograph. Oh, see, Duncan has peeled off his paper wrapping, and so he's not wearing any clothes, and he's so embarrassed to come out of the crayon box. Okay, so that's about the letters that Duncan has received. But now Duncan is very confused. He has to make a drawing, but what does he do? All his crayons are threatening to quit. All of them are unhappy with him. But he has to make a drawing, and he has to keep them happy as well. So, what does Duncan do? He makes a very beautiful drawing. So, I have here Duncan's drawing with me. Would you like to see? So, this is what Duncan makes. What do you see here? You see a black rainbow. What else is there? There's an orange whale, right? There's a sun. The sun he's colored in orange, but the sky is yellow, not blue. What else is there? Oh, nice. Oh, see, I see a pink dinosaur here, and there's a flying monster which is purple in color. So nice. Different colors he's used. Otherwise, for whales, you would generally use the grey color, but he's used orange color. Rainbow, as I told you, he's used the black color, not those 7 regular colors. This elephant looks like a mix of orange and brown to me. Oh, see, there's a little dog. For the dog, he's used the color yellow. So he makes this very beautiful drawing, and he uses different colors to make this drawing. And when the teacher sees this drawing, she's so happy that she gives him an A+ for the drawing and the creativity. So this way, Duncan was able to make all his friends happy. So did you enjoy the story? Show me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the story. Wonderful. So we'll now take a 10-minute break, and I'll come back with another beautiful story. But that story is meant for slightly older children. But if you think you would like to attend another storytelling session, please feel free to join after 10 minutes. And don't forget that there's a huge repository, a huge collection of stories on our School Mitra app. Just go to Picatail on your School Mitra app, and you'll see a huge collection of stories which you can read with your parents. Okay? So now your storyteller Neha Gupta says bye. We'll meet after 10 minutes. Bye bye. Hello, my dear friends. How are you this beautiful Sunday morning? It's been raining heavily since morning in the place where I stay. That's why I'm carrying this umbrella. Now let me just close this umbrella and put this away. So I'm Neha Gupta, your storyteller. I'm also a curriculum designer, a teacher trainer, an educator. I've also been into theater. Great? Great. So today I'm here with a new and exciting story. But before I begin, let me introduce you to the organization that brings us together. And that is Eupheus Learning. Eupheus Learning is India's largest school-focused platform. We design solutions from nursery to grade 12, and these solutions are used in more than 10,000 schools and about 26 lakh children. That's a huge number, right? So everyone loves our solutions. In fact, the School Mitra app on which you can watch this storytelling session, that is also brought to you by Eupheus Learning. It's a very cool organization and we believe in providing holistic education to the children. Now, what is holistic education? That's such a big word, right? So you don't have to worry. It's just that we want the children like you to study and have fun, both at the same time. I suddenly smell something very bad. What is it? Such a bad smell. A very bad smell. What is smelling? You, the little girl in pink. You haven't taken a bath, right? You are smelling, right? No? You've taken a bath? Are you sure? You took a bath yesterday, no? Not today? Oh, today only you took a bath. Okay. Then what else is smelling? You, the little boy in green. You haven't washed your socks, right? Your feet are smelling? No? Not your feet? What else is smelling then? You, the girl with an orange ribbon. You left your tiffin in your school bag, right? And that is smelling? No? What is it then? This smell is so bad. Such a bad smell. So the story that I am going to narrate today is called What's That Smell? Okay? So let me start the story. So this story is about a very young girl like you. Her name is Tara. She goes with her family on a vacation. Her family includes her mother, her father and her little brother Madhav. So they all had gone on a vacation and now they have come back. Okay, and they are so happy to be back. It's so nice to come back home, right? No matter where you go, it's always such a nice feeling to come back home. So everyone is so happy to come back home. Tara's ma says, it's such a good thing to come back home. Right, Tara? Tara says, yes, I feel so happy to be back. But I also feel hungry. Papa also says, yes, I am also feeling very hungry and very tired. But more than that, I feel so hungry. See, my stomach is rumbling. Tara's little brother, Madhav, also rubs his stomach and says, hungry, hungry, I also feel hungry. So, Tara's mother says, don't worry, we have a few things in our fridge. So, there is milk. I think she's talking about the homogenized milk here. You know the milk that you get in cartons? I think she's talking about that. The normal milk would have gone bad. I think she's talking about the milk that you get in the cartons, the homogenized milk. So she says there is some milk in the fridge. There are eggs and then there are some vegetables. There is bread also kept inside the fridge. I'll make a nice meal for all of you. Papa says, don't worry, I'll cook for everyone today. This is such a nice thing, right? Papas should also cook sometimes. Generally, we see only the moms cooking, but I think even papas should cook sometimes. Tara's papa is very helpful. He decides to cook for the entire family. Okay, so he's a very nice person since he cooks for the family. Great. So he says, don't worry, I'll cook for everyone. But the moment they open the door of the house, ew! Such a bad smell! Where is this smell coming from? Such a bad smell! We can't even breathe. We can't even breathe. Such a bad smell. Where is this smell coming from? Madhav, since he's a very little boy, he gets scared. He says, there's a smelly monster in the house. There's a smelly monster in the house. The monster will eat up all of us. There's a smelly monster. I won't even enter the house. Papa says, Madhav, don't be scared. There's no monster in the house. I think there's something wrong. There is something that has gone bad and we are not able to figure out. Let's see where this smell is coming from. Okay, so all of us will go into different sections of our house and we'll try to figure out what is smelling. Okay, so first Tara goes into the bathroom, but she's not able to see anything. Then her mother goes into the bedroom. Even she is not able to see anything. Papa searches in the drawing room. They are not able to see anything. Then Madhav and Papa together, they go into the kitchen. And this smell is coming from the kitchen. It is actually coming from the fridge. So Papa points at the fridge and says, the smell is coming from that fridge. Looks like there is something wrong. There's a monster in the fridge. There's a monster in the fridge. Madhav is still scared and he still thinks there's a smelly monster somewhere. And now that they are able to figure out that the smell is coming from the fridge, Madhav is even more scared since he thinks that there's a smelly monster inside the fridge. Madhav, why are you so afraid? There is no monster inside the fridge. I think there is something else. This is what his mother says. And she slowly opens the fridge. And they are not able to breathe. It's smelling so badly. Oh, look what has happened. So Tara's mother says, oh, see, I think the fridge has stopped working. It is so hot from inside. So how's the fridge from inside? It's cold. But since their fridge had stopped working, it was very hot from inside. And everything that was kept inside the fridge, the milk, the bread, the vegetables, everything had gone bad. Mama, has the milk also gone bad? Tara asks her mother. Yes, dear, the milk has gone bad. Try smelling the milk. It smells so sour. When the milk goes bad, it has a very bad sour smell. Okay? So the milk is smelling so bad, which means the milk has gone bad. Oh, what happened to the bread? It's covered with this green thing. What is this green thing here? It's fuzzy, it's fuzzy, it's fuzzy. Madhav is very excited to see the green bread. But actually, it's a mold that grows on the bread when it goes bad. Okay? And it's not advisable to touch that green mold. You can fall sick. It's fuzzy, but Madhav is very excited to see the green bread. He says, oh, what's this green grass? What is this green moss on the bread? What is this? What is this? Madhav, stop being so naughty. The mold has grown over the bread and don't you touch it. You'll fall sick. So the bread has also gone bad. And we know that it has gone bad because we can see this mold growing over the bread. So the bread has also gone bad. Papa says, check out the vegetables. Have they also gone bad? Mother checks out the vegetables. Yes, all the vegetables are rotten. What will we eat now? So all the vegetables that were kept inside the fridge, they had also gone rotten. Let's check out the eggs. The eggs were smelling so bad. Madhav picks up an egg and he drops it. Madhav, what have you done? Tara says. Why have you dropped the egg now? It smells even worse. Run from here. Mother, what will we eat now? Why has everything gone bad? So mother explains, Beta, we need a refrigerator, we need a fridge to keep our food in a good condition. There's a cold air that comes inside the refrigerator, right? And that cold air actually keeps everything kept inside the refrigerator fresh. That's why whatever extra things, whatever we have to store, we keep it inside the fridge. For example, milk is there, vegetables, bread. We keep all these food items inside the fridge because we want them to stay fresh. But since our fridge stopped working and it was so hot from inside, that's why all these things have gone bad. So mother, what will we eat now? Don't worry, beta. There are certain things which have not gone bad and these are not supposed to be kept in the fridge because they don't rot so easily. For example, we have rice, okay? So rice does not go bad very easily, very quickly. So we have rice. What else do we have? We have potatoes. Potatoes take a while, okay? They take a while for going bad. What else do we have? We have onions. And we have ghee. Okay, so these 3-4 things we have. So rice is there, ghee is there, then we have onion and we have potato. What do we make with these items? Let's make pulao. Okay, let's make pulao and we'll put potatoes and onion in it. Let's make some nice ghee rice, nice veg pulao. Okay, all you children will eat pulao? Yes, we'll eat pulao. So, mother starts making pulao and meanwhile, what daddy does? He empties the fridge, he cleans it from inside and he puts in all the items that had gone bad in a very big garbage bag. And then he sprays room freshener in the entire house. Okay, so this is what they do and then they happily eat ghee rice, actually the veg pulao that they make. Okay children, so actually I would like to tell you that there are some perishable items and there are some non-perishable items. Perishable items are the items that go bad very quickly. So generally the fruits and the vegetables that have a lot of water content in them, they go bad very easily. For example, grapes, oranges. So these fruits go bad very easily, very quickly as compared to guava or apples. So generally all the fruits and vegetables are perishable items since they go bad very quickly. You must keep them in the fridge if you want these items to stay fresh for a little longer. Milk is also a perishable item. It goes bad very quickly. The food grains like your dal, rice, these are non-perishable items. These also go bad but not so quickly, not as quickly as fruits and vegetables. Okay, so these are non-perishable items. Ghee is a non-perishable item. Cooking oil is a non-perishable item, right? So here I have a few items with me. You have to look at those items and then you have to identify if they are perishable or non-perishable. So I have cauliflower here. It's called gobi in my language. What do you call it in your language? I call it gobi. So tell me, is it a perishable item or a non-perishable item? Okay, so how many of you think it's a perishable item? Please raise your hands. Wonderful. And how many of you think it's a non-perishable item? Please raise your hands. Great. So cauliflower, since it's a vegetable, it's a perishable item. It goes bad very quickly. So if you want it to stay fresh for longer, you need to keep it in the refrigerator. Now I have this macaroni with me. Now what is macaroni? Is it a perishable item or a non-perishable item? How many of you think it's a perishable item? Please raise your hands. Okay. You think it's a perishable item? Okay. And how many of you think it's a non-perishable item? Please raise your hands. Wonderful. So macaroni, pasta, these are non-perishable items. Okay. They don't get bad very quickly. So these are non-perishable items. What else do I have here? I have a guava. What is a guava? Is it a perishable item or a non-perishable item? So guava, since it's a fruit, it's a perishable item. But it doesn't go bad as quickly as grapes do. Since there's a lot of water content in grapes, they go bad even quicker than a guava or an apple. Great. Now I have this chana here. What is chana? Chana is a non-perishable item. Okay. Then ghee, as I told you, is a non-perishable item. Rice is a non-perishable item. Potato and onion, these are non-perishable items. So they also go bad, but not so quickly. Semi-perishable, we can say these are semi-perishable. Great. So with this story, you also learnt about perishable and non-perishable food items. Now let us understand, why does food go bad? So in the story, both Tara and Madhav were thinking that there's a monster inside the house, and the monster is someone who's making the whole house smell so bad. Okay? And Madhav in fact was thinking there's some invisible monster, right? So actually not a monster, but there are some invisible creatures that make your food go bad. Okay? These creatures are called microbes. What are these called? Microbes. Say that again. Microbes. Okay? So whenever a food item is kept in the open for a very long time in very hot and humid conditions, what happens? Microbes grow in the food and they start eating the food. So they actually make the food go bad. What is actually go bad? I've said this so many times while narrating the story. Go bad. The milk went bad, and what else? The vegetables went bad. Now what is this go bad? So when a food item is no longer safe for our consumption, if we consume it, we'll fall sick. So whenever a food item is unsafe for human consumption, we say that it has gone bad. Okay? And what makes it go bad? As I told you, the microbes. Whenever a food item is kept in the open in hot and humid conditions, they go bad because microbes grow on that food and the microbes start eating it. These microbes are, I won't say these are invisible. Those are not visible to the naked eye. But if you get a special machine, which is a microscope, okay, microscope is a machine that scientists use. If you use this microscope, then probably you will be able to see the microbes. Okay, they look like these tiny blobs. Okay, these tiny blobs of ink or something. Very, very ugly. Okay, great. So children, will you keep this in mind that if we want our food to stay fresh, we should always keep it in the fridge. And if our fridge stops working, we should get it repaired very soon, because the cold air which is there inside the fridge, that is something that actually keeps our food items fresh. So it's very important that if we want to protect our food, we must always keep it in the refrigerator. Okay, so you'll remember this. Show me a thumbs up if you'll remember this. Okay, and what two categories of food did we discuss in the story? Do you remember? We talked about perishable and non-perishable food items. Will you remember this? So perishable items are supposed to be kept in the refrigerator, and non-perishable items like cooking oil, ghee, these can be kept outside the refrigerator. These won't go bad even if they are kept outside the refrigerator. So now will you remember which items are to be kept inside the fridge and which items can be kept outside the fridge? Will you remember? Show me your thumbs up. Wonderful! Such brilliant children you are. So children, that's all about the story. I really hope you enjoyed the story, and while listening to the story, you learned a new concept about perishable and non-perishable food items. You also learnt about what makes our food go bad and what we should do to keep our food fresh. Great! I hope you enjoyed the story. Thank you so much for being such a wonderful audience. We'll now take a very short 10-minute break, and we'll come back with another very exciting story. So that story is meant for slightly older children, but if you would still like to attend that session, please feel free to come back after 10 minutes. And before I go, I would also like to tell you that there's a huge collection of stories available on our School Mitra app. Please go to Pick a Tale on your School Mitra app, and you will see a huge repository of wonderful stories which you can read with your parents at home. Okay, so do you promise me that you will read all these stories at home? Show me a thumbs up. Wonderful! Such brilliant children you are. Okay children, so we'll now meet after 10 minutes. Till then, bye-bye. Whoosh! How are you, my little youngsters? How are you feeling today? It's a Sunday, it's a beautiful day, and I'm going to make your Sunday even more beautiful with my story. So, how do I look today? Don't I look like a magician? Well, the story that I'm going to tell you today is about magic. Do you believe in magic? How many of you believe in magic? Raise your hands. Oh, you didn't raise your hand? You don't believe in magic? You don't? You know, there's a saying that those who don't believe in magic will never experience this. Okay? So the story that I'm going to tell you today is called When Wishes Come True. But first of all, let me introduce myself to you. I'm your storyteller. My name is Neha Gupta, but you can call me Neha Auntie. Okay? That's a deal between us. You'll call me Neha Auntie. But if your parents are watching this video, please tell them not to call me Auntie. I'm not their auntie. I'm only your auntie. So that's a deal between us, right? Awesome. But before I begin, I would also like to introduce you to the wonderful organization that brings us together. It's called Eupheus Learning. Eupheus Learning is India's largest school-focused platform. We reach out to more than 10,000 schools and about 26 lakh children. We make world-class educational solutions from nursery to grade 12. In fact, this storytelling session that you can watch on your School Mitra app, that is also brought to you by Eupheus Learning. If you want to know more about Eupheus Learning, then please log on to www.eupheus.in. Wonderful! So we'll now start with our story. Please sit up straight, open your ears and enjoy the story. So as I told you, this story is about magic. And the name of the story is When Wishes Come True. And this beautiful, beautiful story is written by Rabindranath Tagore. You know who Rabindranath Tagore is? I'm sure you know. So Rabindranath Tagore was the one who also wrote our national anthem, Jan Gan Man. So let me start the story. It's a beautiful story and it's about magic. So the story is about a father and a son. The father's name is Subal Chandra, and the son's name is Sushil Chandra. Okay, Subal Chandra is the father and Sushil Chandra is the son. But you know, sometimes what happens is that people don't really behave as per their names. So Subal Chandra, Subal means someone who has a lot of strength. But Subal Chandra was a very weak person. He used to have a lot of pain in his legs, in his arms. He couldn't sit up straight. He had a lot of pain in his entire body and his name was Subal, imagine. Similarly, Sushil, what does Sushil mean? Sushil means someone who's very well behaved. But Sushil Chandra was such a naughty child. Just like many of you, he was a very, very naughty child. And his name was Sushil. Okay, so Subal Chandra and Sushil Chandra, and they never behaved as per their names. Right. Great. So today was a Saturday and it was a half day at Sushil's school. But the thing is that he didn't want to go to school. Like sometimes many of you don't want to go to school. So he makes an excuse. He goes to his father and he says, "Father, I have a terrible stomachache. Father, I can't go to school today. I have a terrible stomachache." So, father realizes that he is making an excuse. He says, "Oh, so you have a stomachache, right? And because of that, you can't go to school. You know our neighbors, Bose Babu, there's a party at Bose Babu's place today. So since you have a stomach ache, I'm sure you won't be able to go to their party as well, right? That's so sad. It's okay, it's okay. You know what you can do? You can just take some rest. Just lie in your bed, take some rest. And meanwhile, I'll send some herbal medicine for you. Now, herbal medicines are so bitter, so bad, and Sushil didn't want to taste the herbal medicine. He suddenly sits up straight and says, Father, Father, I'm all right. See, I'm all right. My stomach ache is gone. I'm fine. I'll go to school, okay? I'll quickly pack my bags and I'll go to school. But Subal, he wants to teach a lesson to Sushil Chandra. He says, no, you have a stomach ache, right? You must stay in your bed and I'll make you have the herbal medicine. And he forcefully puts some herbal medicine in Sushil's mouth. See here, take this medicine. And he just shoves the spoon inside his mouth. Sushil is very sad. He starts crying. My father is so bad. My father is so bad. He made me have this terrible medicine. I hate my father. My father is so bad. Oh God, why am I so small? Why am I so small? If I were small, if I were my father's age, I would have done whatever I like. I would have gone to, these playgrounds. I would have played. I would have climbed the trees. And I would have done whatever I liked if I were my father's age. Why am I so small? On the other hand, the father, Subal, was thinking, when I was my son's age, nobody paid attention at my studies. But I want my child to study and make a good name for himself. How I wish I could go back in time and be a child again. If I could be a child again, I would study very hard. I would be a responsible boy and I would grow into someone even more responsible, someone who's capable of doing many things. How I wish I could go back in time. That very moment, the goddess of desires, goddess Saraswati, was passing by and she says, Tathastu. And she grants both of their wishes. So they both go to their bed. But what happens the next morning? Next morning, when Subal Chandra wakes up, he wakes up as a small child. His clothes had gone so baggy and so loose. He could run, he could jump, he could do whatever he wanted to. All his joint pains, his headache, migraine, everything was gone. He was so happy. And on the other hand, what happens to Sushil Chandra? He grows into an old man. So when he wakes up, he sees that a beard had grown on his face. His clothes had become so tight that they would just tear off at the seams. And he couldn't walk very nicely. He walked with a hunch and he had pain all over his body. But he was still happy that he could do whatever he wanted to. He didn't have to go to school at least. So he was extremely, extremely happy. So Sushil Chandra, he just wakes up and says, oh, so wonderful. Now I'm my father's age. I don't have to go to school. So what will I do? I'll just go into the playground and I'll just play with my friends. So he goes into the playground and he looks for his friends. And his friends are so surprised. They say, Uncle, what are you doing here? I want to play with you. Sushil Chandra says, but uncle, how will you play with us? You are so big. How can you play with us? So they just run away. They were so afraid of Sushil's father. They just run away and they refuse to play with him. Sushil thinks, okay, let them be. What I'll do, I'll just climb the trees and I'll pluck some juicy mangoes from the tree. Only yesterday he had plucked some juicy mangoes from the tree. And he tries to climb the tree, but since he's now an old man, he is not able to climb the tree. He tries to climb the tree and he falls on his back. He badly hurts himself and he says, oh, okay, just let it be. I'm not able to climb the trees. I'll do one thing. I'll just have a dip in the pond. So he jumps into the pond. But since now he had the body of an old man, his body is not able to understand, but now since he's an old man, his body is not able to tolerate the cold. So he comes out of the pond and he says, "Ooh, it's so cold. I'm feeling so cold. I'm feeling so cold." He's not able to tolerate the cold. And then he decides that he won't take a bath every day. And if at all he has to take a bath, he'll take it with hot water. Right? So this is what happens with Sushil. He has grown into an old man. And all that he had planned for himself, that if he were as old as his father, he would play in the playground, he would climb the trees, he would take a bath in the pond. He is not able to do any of that. So he just goes home and he asks the servant to get some candies for him. Since he loved candies, so he asked the servant to get some candies for him. So the servant gets him a bag full of candies. But the moment he puts a candy in his mouth, ouch, 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 I am not able to chew the candy. Why? Because there were no teeth in his mouth. So he was not even able to enjoy the candy because he was toothless. And you know what happened? Sometimes he used to just try combing his hair and suddenly he would realize that he had a bald patch. Okay, so all that he had hoped for, he was not able to do. So what he does, he just gets angry at his son. And who's his son now? It's actually his father, Subal Chandra, who has now become small. He says, "You're not studying, right? Come here, I'll just send you to school." And I told you what Subal Chandra wanted to do. He wanted to go to school and study. That's what he wished for, right? He said, if I were as young as my son, I would go back to school. I would study hard. I would be a good child. But now he didn't want to go to school. And he says, what does he say? "Father, I don't want to go to school. I have a terrible stomachache. Terrible stomachache I have." Now, Sushil Chandra already knew about these stomach aches. This was the excuse that even he used to make. So he is able to see through his father. He says, "I understand your stomach ache very well. You are faking it, right? Now go to school." So he packs his bag and he just sends his father to school. Poor father, he has to go to school at this age. Okay, so from his mind he's still an old man, but from his body he's a young child. So he goes to school. When he comes back, Sushil, who's his son, he's waiting with Ramayana in his hand. He says, "Okay, so you have come back from school. Now I'll make you recite verses from Ramayana. Come on, recite these verses." Poor father, he has to recite so many verses from Ramayana. And Sushil keeps on pointing out his mistakes. "See, you didn't recite this verse properly. Please say it again." So he makes him recite the verses so many times, right? And then he gives such difficult sums to Subal to solve. Poor Subal, he spends nearly 2 hours solving those problems which Sushil had given him. You know, sometimes what used to happen, sometimes they both used to forget. that, they have physically gone smaller. So, for example, Subal, he had gone smaller, but in his mind, he was still an old man. So, what he would do, he would go into the market, he would try to play cards with his friends, and the moment his friends would see him, they would say, "Hey, child, you want to play cards? You want to play cards with us? You're such a bad boy. At this age, you should only be studying. You want to play cards? Go away." He goes to a panwala and he asks the panwala to make a pan for him. Panwala says, "Where is your father? You want to eat pan at this age? Such a naughty child you are. Go away from here." So the panwala also asks him to go away. So, all these mishaps happen. They, from their mind, they are still, what they were. They are not able to come to terms to the reality that now Subal has become smaller, and this one, Sushil, has become older. They are not able to understand that. Similarly, this one, Sushil, who's now become an old man, he tries to play with his friends, but then the friends ask him to go. So, in overall, they are not able to do whatever they had planned for. And if they try to, behave their age, even that is not possible. So, by the end of the day, they get so tired and they say that, we were happy. We should be happy with whatever we are. Why did we ask Goddess Saraswati to change us? So Subal says, "I was happy as an old man. I think I should have behaved my age. I would rather be an old man again. I can't handle this, all this drama, being a young chap again. I'm not really able to handle this." Similarly, Sushil says, "I would be so much happy if I become a child again. Now, because of, so many pains in my body, I'm not able to do anything. It was so much better when I was a child." So they both say that, we should go back to our old selves. We were so much better at that time. So the goddess Saraswati was again passing by. She hears both of them and she says, "Tathastu." So they both would forget that how old they were now. Subal would forget that he was now a little boy. Sushil would forget that he was now an old man. I told you, no, Sushil was such a naughty boy. He was very naughty. He was so naughty that even his name Sushil didn't do justice to his behavior. So he was very naughty, and sometimes he used to throw stones into the water pots of old women. So he used to break their pots by throwing the stones at them. So now whenever he would do that, the old women would think that this old fellow has gone mad. Why is he behaving like a child? Why is he throwing stones at our water pots? So they both would forget that they were now older or younger. Similarly, Subal would also forget that he was now a little child. He would try to go to his old friends and he would try to chat with them. He would try to treat them as equals, and they would just throw him away and they would just pull his ears and say, "Hey, you little chap, what are you doing here? Where is your father? What are you doing here? Go play or go to school. Is this what you learn at school?" And they would just throw him away. Once what happened, this one Subal, he went to his schoolmaster and he said, "Hey buddy, do you have a cigarette? I wanted to have a smoke." And the schoolmaster was so furious and he says, "What? You want to smoke? You are just a little child and you want to smoke?" The schoolmaster, he made him stand on one leg on a bench for the whole day. So this would happen. They both would forget that they would now younger or smaller. By the end of the day, they both were just done with this. So this one Sushil, he says, "I was so much better when I was a young child. Now I am such an old man. I am not able to do anything. I have joint pain. I have this bald head. I don't have teeth in my mouth. I'm not able to enjoy my life as I used to when I was a little child." Similarly, Subal would say, if I could be big and free as I was when I was an old man, I would be just out of this. Now everyone is trying to scold me, everyone wants to hit me. See, so many people, they are just throwing me away from one place to another. How good it was when I was an old man. Now I've become smaller and then everyone is just after my life. What is this? So they both wanted to go back to their old selves. Just then, the goddess of desires, the Saraswati, she came back and she said, "Well, have you got what you both wanted?" And they said, "Yes, we got what we wanted." Just then, the goddess of desires, Saraswati, she came back and said, "Well, have you got what you wanted?" They both did Sashtang Pranam to her and said, "We assure you, goddess, we have. Now please make us what we were before." And the goddess of desires, Saraswati, she says, "Tathastu." And she says, "When you wake up tomorrow, you'll be back to what you were." The next morning, when Subal woke up, he was as old as he was. And next morning, when Sushil woke up, he was a little boy again. And they both looked at each other as if they were trying to tell each other, did that really happen with us? Or was this just a very bad dream that we saw? They both couldn't understand. But just to try out if they had really gone back to their old selves, they just tried to do something. So Subal shouted at Sushil and asked, "Sushil, have you learned your grammar lesson? Tell me." I will just ask you whether you have, how many marks you have got in your grammar. Have you learnt your grammar lessons well? And Sushil, he just scratched his head and said, Father, I think I forgot my book somewhere and I have not been able to revise my grammar lessons." So they both had gone back to their old selves. Okay, children? So children, this happens with us many times. We try to be someone that we are not. Here, this was the case of a father and a son. The father wanted to be the son and the son wanted to be the father. But sometimes we think of others. We think that, okay, this person is better than me, that person is better than me. And we try to be someone that we are not. But God has created all of us equally. All of us have equal capabilities. All of us have different strengths. So we should just be happy with ourselves. God has created us. We should never be try to copy someone or try to be someone else. We should be happy with ourselves. We should love ourselves for what we are. If we are not able to love ourselves, how will the other people love us? First, it begins with you. You need to respect yourself. You need to love yourself. Only then the others will respect you or love you. So never try to copy someone. Never try to be someone else. Just be yourselves. Always. So children, I hope you like the story. With this, we'll take a 10-minute break. We'll meet after 10 minutes with another exciting story. But before I leave, I would like to tell you a little more about our School Mitra app. So this storytelling session which you are attending on your School Mitra app, do you know the School Mitra app also has a collection of a huge number of stories? This collection is called Picatale. You can access Picatale on your School Mitra app. In fact, our friends who are using Zoom Plus, they already have access to this. So just access Picatale on your School Mitra app. It's a big repository of very interesting stories, and please make sure that you read these stories along with your parents. So do you promise me that you would access the Picatale on School Mitra app and you would read these stories? Show me a thumbs up. Wonderful. Great. So thank you so much, children. You have been a wonderful audience. I'll see you in 10 minutes. Though that particular story is for slightly older children, for grades 6 to 8. But if you would like to attend that session, you are more than welcome. So children, I say bye for now. I'll see you in 10 minutes. Bye-bye. Have fun. Hello, my dear friends. How are you all doing? It's a Sunday, and I'm going to make your Sunday a fun day with a new and an exciting story. This story, do you know, is set in future. This story is set in the year 2155, which is more than 100 years from now. So, are you all excited? Show me a thumbs up if you're excited. Wonderful! But before I begin the story, I would like to introduce myself. I'm your storyteller. My name is Neha Gupta. I'm also an educator, a curriculum designer, a teacher trainer. Do you know I've also been into theater? So I used to play many characters while I used to be in theater. That used to be very exciting. And now I bring all that drama to you in the form of the story that I'm going to tell you. Excited? But what brings us together? So there's this really cool organization called Eupheus Learning where I work. That is the organization that brings us together. In fact, the storytelling session that you're accessing on your School Mitra app, that is also brought to you by Eupheus Learning. So what is Eupheus Learning and what does it do? Eupheus Learning is India's largest school-focused platform. We reach out to more than 10,000 schools and about 26 lakh children. Such a huge number, right? How many zeros are there? 26 lakh? Count. How many zeros are there? Do you know? Great! That's a huge number, right? And we make world-class solutions from nursery to grade 12. So many people like our solutions, your parents, your teachers, and of course, I'm sure even you like our solutions, right? If you want to know more about Eupheus Learning, please log on to www.eupheus.in. Great! So, as I told you, this story is set in 2155, more than 100 years from now. The name of the story is The Fun They Had, and it's a science fiction story, and this is written by Isaac Asimov. Great! So this story is about a brother and a sister. The brother is about 13 years old, almost the same age as many of you, and the sister is about 11 years. So I think most of you fall into this age group of 11 to 13, right? Great, wonderful. So the story is about this young boy and a young girl. So one day what happens? So as I told you, they are in the year 2155, and they find an old book. So we don't know how learning is going to be in the year 2155. So as per this story, they no longer study or read books. So Margie, the name of the girl is Margie and the name of the boy is Tommy. So Margie and Tommy, they both find their grandfather's book in the attic, and they are very excited to see this. So Margie takes a look at this book. So this is the book that she finds. As you can see, it's very old. Its pages have gone yellow. It looks so old. So Margie says, Tommy, see, it's a real book. It's a very old book. So she's very excited to see the book. She turns the pages and she says the pages are so yellow and crinkly and they smell so bad. They have such a peculiar smell. And what is this, Tommy? I mean, just look at this book. The letters, the letters in the words printed on this book, they are looking so still. They are not even moving like how they should on a screen, And when we turn back to the page that we were reading, a few minutes back, the same letters are still there. Okay, so for example, this is page 57. Now, for example, I turn to page 144. Now, again, when I turn to page 57, the same letters, the same words are printed here. So actually, what do we do after we have read this book? We just throw this away. This is such a waste. So actually, Margie and Tommy, they are having this conversation since they belong to a different generation altogether. So they don't use the books anymore. So Tommy says, yeah, this book is very strange. You know, my tablet, it stores thousands and thousands of books, and it still has space for at least 1,000 more books. But this one book, I don't know how children used to study from such books. I mean, the same letters, the same words, and after you have read the entire book, I really don't know what you do with it. This is very strange. This is such a waste. You just throw it away. So this adds to actually so much of pollution also, right? So much of wastage of paper. What do you do with these books? This is such a waste. So, but Margie says, you know, Tommy, if I ever had such a book, I would never throw it away. So Tommy says, then what would you do with it? Margie says, I would just keep it with myself. It's so nice to have, you know, a physical copy of a book, and you can go back to it whenever you want to, as per your convenience. I really like this book, and I really like the feeling of, you know, holding a physical copy of a book. I think it's much better than just looking at a digital copy of a book on a tablet screen. But where did you find this book, Tommy? So Tommy says, I found it in the attic. You know what an attic is? Attic is a portion in the house which is in the upper segment of the house, like a storeroom or something where all the waste material is stored. So Tommy says, I found this book in the attic. Okay, so what is this book all about, Tommy? So Margie asks him, what is this book all about? So Tommy says this book is about school. About school. Margie is very confused. Why about a school? What is there to write about school? I really hate school. How can anyone write a book on school? What would you write about a school? What does this book talk about? So Margie always hated the schools. And you know, here in 2155, you will get to know later, the schools are also not these traditional schools. You will get to know about this later. So Margie hated school because her geography teacher was giving her tests after tests, and she was failing those tests, and the geography teacher was giving her tests after tests since she was not able to pass the tests. So she failed so many tests that her mother had to call for a county inspector. Now, what is a county inspector? Like whenever anything wrong happens with your machine, with your laptop, with your mobile phone, you call an engineer or a technician. So this county inspector is equivalent of that, more of an IT person. So her mother actually calls a county inspector. He was a round little man, and he had a red face, and he had a very big box which was full of tools with dials and wires. So he looks at the teacher of Margie. So who was this teacher? This teacher was actually a robot. Okay, so in 2155, as per this story, we are not going to have physical teachers. We are going to have robots. So the county inspector comes and says, don't worry, I'll fix the teacher. So he takes the teacher apart. So he just unassembles the teacher. He just opens all the parts of the teachers, and he says, okay, I'll just fix this, and once it is fixed, I'll put it together again. So Margie was thinking if the teacher could be taken away, that would be really helpful. Once there was some problem with Tommy's teacher, and then that teacher had to be taken away for 2 whole months. Margie was hoping for something similar, but then that didn't happen. Unfortunately, the inspector just smiled and said, this actually was not the fault of this little girl. Actually, she's not able to understand her geography lessons, and she's 11 years old, and the machine is not able to understand that she's not able to actually understand her geography lessons, and they are still the machine, actually the teacher is still giving her the lessons as per her age. I think we need to bring down the level a bit, so I have slowed it up and I have averaged it to the 10-year level. So now the overall pattern of our progress is quite satisfactory. Okay, so the county inspector fixes the teacher, and then again it is up and running. Margie is so disappointed. She really hates this teacher. She especially hates showing the homework to the teacher. Now you would be wondering that it's a robot. How would it see the homework? How would it check the students' homework? So there's a slot in the robot where you have to submit your homework. So there's a particular slot inside this robot, and then you feed in your homework into that slot, and then the robot actually checks your homework and gives you feedback. So Margie was really disappointed. She was hoping that her teacher would be taken away, but the county inspector instead fixes it. So then what happens? She's extremely disappointed, and then she says to Tommy, Tommy, why would anyone write about school? I hate school. What is there to like about school? Now Tommy brings a revelation, and he says, you are so stupid. This is not the kind of school that we have. This is the old kind of school that people used to have hundreds and hundreds of years ago, like maybe centuries ago. Maggie was like, yeah, what kind of school? Can you just elaborate a bit? I don't know what kind of school you're talking about. Can you tell me more about the school? Did they also have a teacher like we have a teacher? So Tommy says, yes, they had a teacher, but it wasn't a regular teacher. It was a human being. So a human being used to come like you and I. So a human being used to come, and that teacher used to actually teach the students. Now Margie was even more confused, and she says, but a human being, how can a human being be a teacher? A human being won't know everything, right? A machine knows everything. How can a human being know everything? So when a human being doesn't know everything, how can he or she teach? So Tommy says, no, that won't be the case. My father knows as much as my teacher does. So I'm sure even a human teacher would know as much as a machine would know. Okay, so Margie didn't want to fight with him, since she knew that whenever they have an argument, it's Tommy who always wins, since he's also a bit older. So she doesn't want to have an argument with him, and then she just leaves this point here. And then Tommy suddenly screams with laughter and says, oh, Margie, you can't even imagine. The teachers didn't live in the house of the students. So Margie says, yeah, that's what I was wondering. So you said a human being used to be a teacher, but I would never want a stranger to come to my house every day and teach me. So then Tommy says, yeah, but the human being, the teacher, would not come to your house in those days. You had to go to the human being. So you had to go to the teacher. The teacher won't come to you. So Tommy explains that, there used to be this huge building which people used to call school, and all the children in the neighborhood used to go to that particular school. And then all the human beings who used to teach these children, those were called the teachers. They actually stayed at that school for some time, and then all the children would go to those teachers, and the teachers would teach them. But then that means all the children will learn the same thing, right? Margie asks Tommy. She says, this is so strange, which means all the children are learning the same thing and the same teacher is teaching them. This doesn't sound very promising, Tommy. So Tommy says, no, why, what happened? Why don't you find this very interesting? So Margie says that my mother always says that a teacher needs to adjust themselves to fit the mind of each student. So there needs to be differentiated learning. Each child is different, and so each child is at different level, and so each child needs to be taught differently. So I'm not really able to understand how this whole concept of all the children of the neighborhood coming together and going to the same school and all the students studying the same thing, the same teacher teaching them. I really can't understand how this entire thing worked. So Tommy says it. I would just say that this was very different. So the times were very different from how they are now. So maybe the children like to do that. Maybe the children like going to school. Maybe they enjoyed studying the same thing. Though even I am not able to understand how they managed. And suddenly Margie's mother calls her and says, Margie, are you ready for your school? Margie looks up and she says, not yet, Mama. I'll just get ready in a while. And then she says, okay, so you get ready for your school, and then it would be time for Tommy also to get ready for his school. So Margie says to Tommy, Tommy, this seems to be a very interesting book. Can I also read this book? So Tommy says, yes, you can read this book, but only after I have gone through this entire book. Okay, only then I'll lend this to you. But first let me read this book, and then I'll lend this to you, and then you can read this book. So then Margie goes to her school. And what was her school? Her school was actually just another room in her own house. So she used to call it a school, but it was actually a small room in her own house. It was right next to her bedroom, and the mechanical teacher was on and waiting for her. So as I told you, this wasn't a real teacher. This was actually a mechanical teacher or robot who used to teach them. So, and this teacher, since it's a robot, it would always be on time. Sometimes your teachers, I'm sure they sometimes get a little late, sometimes because of the weather or some other condition. But this robot, since it's a machine, it would always be on time. Whether it's a Saturday or a Sunday, whenever you want to study, this mechanical teacher would always be ready. So with a heavy heart and with a lot of disappointment in her heart, Margie just goes to the schoolroom and she switches on the robot. So the screen lights up and the mechanical teacher says, okay, Margie, today I am going to teach you an arithmetic lesson. We are going to teach you addition of proper fractions. Okay, have you been able to complete yesterday's homework? Margie says, yes, I have completed yesterday's homework. Then the mechanical teacher says, okay, that's a good thing. If you have completed your homework, then put it in the right slot. Margie just puts in her homework in the slot that was designed to feed in your homework. And then mechanical teacher's screen flashes again and it starts saying that you know what happens when we add two fractions, for example 1 by 2 plus 1 by 4, then what happens, blah blah blah. And then similarly the teacher goes on and on and on, and then the Margie is left thinking, you know, she thinks that what fun these children had, these children who used to go to traditional schools and there was a human being teaching them. They could interact with each other, they could share common interests, they could talk about so many different things. I really think they had such fun. I wish I could had that fun. Really, what fun they had. So that's actually the name of the story as well. What fun they had. Okay, so students, that brings us to the end of the session. Now you have to tell me, what do you like more? Do you think a traditional school works better, like the one you are going to, or do you think a mechanical teacher would have worked better for you? A teacher who's a robot, who knows everything, but there's no personal touch to that teacher. So, how do you think our future is going to be? Do you think these traditional schools will continue, or do you think there won't be any schools in the future? Your school room will be right next to your bedroom, like how Margie had, and then there will be a robotic teacher waiting for you. How do you think the future is going to be, and how would you want your future to be? Okay, students, so I'll leave you with this thought. Keep thinking about this and share your thoughts with me. With this, I, your storyteller Neha Gupta, say bye. Hope you enjoyed the session, and please stay healthy, stay happy. I'll see you in the next session with another interesting story. Bye bye.